Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I just wanted to start off this video by saying thank you for all the love and feedback you gave me on the last video. It was really nice hearing from all of you guys on what you liked and how you felt about the film I discussed. So it's lovely hearing back from you guys, so keep doing that, and well, we are only going to get better from here. Hi, so the film I've decided to review today is called Prisoners. It's a 2-hour 30-minute crime thriller directed by Denis Villeneuve, starring the amazing cast of Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Paul Dano, Terrence Howard, Viola Davis. Yeah, that's just to name a few because it was such an amazing cast and their performances were so good. I chose to review this film in particular today because I really enjoyed my viewing of this film. I've seen a few of Denis' work and I really enjoy his style. I think it's very like how really good directors is when they have a style and that's like it's very unique to them, and I really like his style. I like the pacing of his films, and what he chooses to focus on is very interesting because he allows for his scenes to breathe, and I think that's something that's very important for actors and even the viewers, because we get to see their emotions. We get to see their emotions more when we focus on those characters, and he does that really well. But yeah, I just really love the pacing of his films, and it shows in this film today, Prisoners. Yeah, so this film is about a mysterious abduction, the mysterious abduction of 2 children that ends up leading their families into this unending search for answers. And yeah, that's just a brief description, but I don't want to spoil too much, because like we're gonna have, sorry, I don't know if I've said it yet, we're gonna have the spoiler section and we're gonna have the non-spoiler section. So this first half of this video is going to be the non-spoiler section. So yeah, so like I don't think I've said anything too spoily. I don't think I've said anything too spoily yet. So yeah, where was I? Okay, yeah, so I really enjoyed how the themes that are shown throughout this film. Like there's a religious theme, and there's also like a grief, and it's we see these characters struggle with different things, and it's so well acted and well directed, because we get to see a lot of their personality without them actually explaining what kind of person they were. And I think that's what they call show don't tell, and that's what makes a lot of films really good to me, because watching a film is about viewing. It's mostly about viewing. Then there's the acting, there's the dialogue, but the first thing is viewing. It's a video, it's a film, so we see and interpret what is happening, and there's a lot of that in this film. Like for example, there might be a shot of this character, and he has just something has just happened to him, and his thinking and just reactions from his face, and as I said earlier, then he does a lot of like focus shots that where we're just taking in the moment, and he allows for his actors to show that emotion through their performances and all. I love that about him. I think I would recommend this film to anyone. I think anyone can watch this film. Like, if you have a short attention span, honestly, I feel like it's worth it still seeing this film, but like, get over it. Honestly, I like films that that take their time with telling you the story, and this film does that. I don't want to say it's a slow burn, because I think that word is used is used carelessly sometimes, and this in particular is not really that, but it's quite slow in the storytelling, in the story it's telling. But that slowness of it brings more understanding of the character and of the different characters basically, and that's just really good filmmaking in my opinion. So y'all should watch this for real. Yeah. Also, the music and sound design in this film is so masterful. I think the music is done by the late Johan Johansson. I've seen one other film where he composes music for. I think it was also a film directed by Denis called Arrival, and I also love the score in that film. And there's something about his scores that just very moody and otherworldly. But I just think in this film in particular, he did very well in making song music that connected very well with the story and the characters in the story. And personally, I'm a big fan of score in films. When I say, sorry, I don't know if I explained the difference. So when I say score music, but I'm a big fan of score in films. I personally download a lot of films I watch. I download the soundtrack of the film and I just listen to it. It's another album that just dropped. And I really appreciate when directors make real good use of music in their storytelling, because I feel like it takes a lot of films to different levels when there's music involved in the style of storytelling. Because storytelling can be through dialogue, can be through plots, can be through the cinematography, can also be through music. And those of you that really like music and different vibes of music, you understand what I say when I say that music can connect to you in ways sometimes a performance cannot connect to you. But that doesn't really track with this film, because I feel like every aspect of storytelling in this film in particular, it comes together to make what this really great film is, Prisoners. And it's amazing how much work goes into making some of these soundtracks. I feel like these score composers don't really get enough credit for their work and how much they put into making the music for these films. I'm sure 90% of the people watching this video don't really know score composer names. I don't mean to brag, but I'm sorry. I know a few composers like this late Johan Johansson. I know the obvious Hans Zimmer. I know Ludwig Göransson. I know John Williams, and I think there's one more I'm trying to remember. But anyways, that's just some really good composers that I've taken note of, and I've downloaded their music scores for different films, and I just feel like they should get more credit. They don't get enough for what they do. But I just think the music, also the sound design for this film was really, you feel all of it. You feel like, I don't know, there's just a way sound can take the intensity of a scene to a different level. For example, if the sound of rain, but also I forgot to mention that rain is just something that is so cinematic, but the sound of rain, using that sound of rain can give more meaning or more feeling to whatever performance is being put out there. But that was just like something I wanted to mention, how the music was great in this film. What else? I think that was it for this spoiler section of this video. I think this video is probably going to be longer, a little bit longer than my last video, but if you're in this section of the video, you're at the spoiler section. So if you haven't seen the film, please, you can leave now and we can go forward. So the first scene, I really liked how I like the cold open of this film, how we just go straight into Keller, Hugh Jackman's character, as he's with his son and they're hunting for deer, and Keller's son is aiming for this deer and with the rifle, and Keller is saying the Lord's Prayer, and he's just praying, and he says, if you know, I don't know if you all know the Lord's Prayer. It goes, Our Father who art in heaven. You can look it up. I might put it up on the screen a little bit. But he says the Lord's Prayer fully, and his son kills the deer. I think that was such an important scene. If you're here, you know what goes on to happen. But I think that was such a beautiful way to show what kind of person Keller was, how much he cared for his children, and how protective he was of how he wanted his children to grow up to be religious and hunters. And that was just the first scene. So from there we go into Keller and his son. They're in the car on the way back home with the dead deer in the trunk. I think they're going home to eat this deer, but I don't know, I've never eaten deer before. But so on the way home, Keller says to his son, tells his son about some important advice his dad gave him. That's Keller's dad gave him, that he should always be ready for anything. So from that scene, we could see that Keller, he had the mindset of, I'm always ready for everything, and we later go on to see that he has a basement with food and in case there's a world-ending scenario. But yeah, that was just showing that's first scene was just showing his preparedness and how he wants to be ready for everything. So knowing this about Keller brings me to the name of this film, Prisoners. Why name this film Prisoners? I thought of this personally. I haven't done any research on why the name of the film was Prisoners, but I'm just saying this based off what I caught from watching this film. And I believe naming this film Prisoners was solely a mental thing. We could be prisoners literally. We can be prisoner literally. And you can also be a prisoner to your society. You can also be a prisoner to your upbringing, and you can also be a prisoner to your to how you look at yourself. And we see, obviously, with Keller, he's a prisoner to his religion, one, and he's also a prisoner to what he thinks of himself. That is, he believes that he's a guy that should always be ready for any situation, and that was unnecessary pressure that his wife put on him earlier in one of the scenes where she was laying in bed and Keller sat on the bed trying to talk to her, and she immediately says, and don't quote me, but she immediately says, I thought you were always going to protect us. I thought you're always going to be prepared, basically. And although I feel like that was not a fair thing to say to someone who's also grieving the same way you are about this situation, it's also understandable seeing how another person would react to this situation, which I think was also cool, seeing how every different character reacted to the loss of their daughter. Yes, so being prisoners to our thoughts, to our religion, it's interesting to me because I think everyone, me, myself, everyone I know, and anyone in the world really, is a prisoner to something. It doesn't always have to be a bad thing. I think it could be anything out there, anything real. And we see with these characters, like I mentioned with Keller, and also with Detective Loki, who's the detective that's helping Keller and his family friend look for both of their daughters. And with Detective Loki, what I caught on from his personality and from his career, he is a prisoner to the society and how the society looks at him, especially the community that he is in. So he's known to be the police guy, the detective who catches every bad guy there is in the town, and he's been known to catch every bad guy. So he becomes a prisoner to that, and it's so interesting seeing Detective Loki and Killer both fight with this feeling of being prisoners to their situations. With Keller, he struggled with it so much that he felt like he had to be in control of everything, and it led him to do things that were over the board bad for anyone to do. There's no excuse to punishing someone knowing that he's a suspect. So he kidnapped Paul Dano's character and he tortured this guy for so long, and I believe there's a limit, but Keller as a character is struggling with himself. We all know watching this film that he had lost his daughter, but I don't believe that was really what he was trying. I don't think that was the only mindset he had as he was torturing Paul Dano's character. I think he was I know he was fighting himself in that moment as he was torturing Paul Dano's character. He was also torturing himself. He was fighting with that notion that he should always be ready, and he couldn't believe that he wasn't ready for this situation. So that feeling of not being ready triggered him so much that he had to, beat it out of someone else. And it crossed the line when he literally started to assault this kid. It gets to a point also with Detective Loki's character where he crosses the line, just like Keller crossed the line in interrogating Paul Dano's character. Detective Loki falls into a similar situation where he breaks character and tries to physically intimidate a suspect. And in that moment, as he's trying to intimidate that suspect, the suspect pulls out a gun from one of the policemen who were trying to hold Detective Loki back from attacking the suspect. And what was going through Detective Loki's mind at that point was that he wanted that guy to be the criminal that he'd been looking for. He wanted that to be his win. He was so stuck in that mentality of I can't lose, I got to catch this bad guy, and he was so blinded by that he crossed the line. And because of that, the suspect was able to pull out that gun and kill himself. And when he did that, you could see Detective Loki literally shake. I think that was such a good performance from Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Jake Gyllenhaal, just showing that immediate shock. And you could tell that he was shocked from just seeing someone kill themselves right in front of him. Not only that, but he was also shocked by the fact that he was losing control of his sense of being the winner detective, the guy who caught all his criminals. And he clearly struggled with that. After that scene, we go through this montage of showing him fight with himself. So I think seeing these two characters struggle with this same feeling of being prisoners to their mentalities of being ready and also being the guy that catches people. Just seeing these two characters struggle with this mentally and emotionally was really beautiful. I think Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman played those characters so well, just showing the different levels of stress and emotion that comes into playing these really complex and interesting characters. I think it's also really beautiful storytelling, having just seen the similarities between these two characters and how stuck in their ways they are. I like how Detective Loki's character was introduced cinematically. So it was, I'm gonna put it up briefly on the screen. So he's sitting down in this diner and the camera literally comes from outside. It's raining. I mean, I talked about how rain can be a very cinematic sound, and just the camera slowly panning in from outside and goes through the glass and goes slowly closer to Detective Loki's character from behind. It's really slow. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, there's some time I've seen other films that have done it and I've loved it, but in this film I just enjoy seeing those kind of things. I don't think it's meant so much more than what it was visually, but it was beautiful. And yes, it was just a really cool thing I thought I'd mention. Yeah, I think that was beautiful. Also, I really like when films have a callback moment, and in this film there was one where Keller, after he had tortured Paul Dano's character for some time, he sat down to himself right next to where right next to where Paul Dano had been tortured, and he tried praying. And I mentioned it earlier how the beginning of the film where he says the Lord's Prayer, and in this Lord's Prayer that he tried to say as he sat down trying to pray, he struggled with completing the prayer. He not just completing the prayer. There was a particular line he stopped at, which I found very interesting and really cool that they did that callback. I noticed that in my second watch of this film, and the line was, so I pulled up the Lord's Prayer earlier. I'm going to put it up again. So it goes, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, as we forgive those who trespass against us. That line, as we forgive those who trespass against us, he stopped before that line, which I found very interesting, because in that line it's saying forgiving those who trespass against us, who do evil to us basically, and who do bad to us. And this was literally the situation, just sitting right where Paul Dano's character had just been tortured, was what made him stop at that point. So yeah, it was just interesting seeing how he struggled with that faith, how he struggled with his faith at that moment. Yeah, it was just a really cool callback moments that I found really interesting. Also the intense scenes in this film, I think, were so masterfully done, like with the sound and the music combined, just building that intensity in different scenes was really good. Like you could feel every situation, like physically. And honestly, I wish I watched this film in the cinemas, because like the sound was so good, the sound design was so good, the music too. I mentioned earlier the power of music in these films, and in this film in particular, like it was very instrumental in showing emotion from like characters and different scenes. Just seeing how music, sound, characters, actors, director, seeing how they work together to create these masterpieces, in my definition, is beautiful. It's just amazing how much work goes into making these films, and I think more credit needs to be given to some of the other people that work in making these films. I mean, they get some credit, to be fair. Like in the academies, they give the Academy Awards. They give awards to sound design, scores, and everything. Yeah, they pretty much get some credit, but I think they don't get as much mainstream credit like the actors do, especially than the directors, than everyone else. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful seeing that work done. Also, I really liked how Denis left this film a little open-ended. So the film ends with Detective Loki looking for any kind of... Oh, sorry, he was looking for Keller at Paul Dano's character's house where he lived and where the kids were kidnapped. And Keller was underground. Detective Loki couldn't hear Keller. The film literally ends on that scene with Detective Loki looking for Keller and not being able to hear the whistle Keller is blowing. So Keller blows this whistle that he finds down there, which was his daughter's whistle. But the whistle, we hear it, and I think Detective Loki notices it, but the scene literally ends there and the film ends there. And I think it leaves the film up for interpretation of what is going to happen next. I think we have some idea of what's going to happen next with Hugh Jackman. So Hugh Jackman's character Keller, we know he's probably going to get arrested because what he did was bad. He crossed the line in torturing Paul Dano's character, who we later found out was also kidnapped when he was a kid. So he was clearly a traumatized kid, and seeing how Hugh Jackman treated him, we know that he's probably going to get arrested for that, but at least he knows his daughter is alive and safe, which is really cool. So yeah, I think that leaves the film really bittersweet with the ending, and I like how we don't know exactly what is going to happen in their story, and that's just, we don't need to see the actual end. We don't need to see everything. We don't need to see their whole life story, because we're literally just thrown into the story. We don't get too much backstory of how they became, how they grew up. So and then the film where it ended was really good, and I really appreciated it. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for listening. I don't know if you clearly noticed change in location and change in costume. I lost part of my video, and the sound also, I didn't really lose it. The sound really just messed up. The sound was messed up, so I had to record again. But it is what it is. I enjoy talking about these things, and yeah, thank you for being here. Subscribe, like, share, and see you on the next one.